We got an 8-hour flight. Sally's looking kind of ready for it, though.
I should have brought the camera. You brought it.
I'm getting multitasking with you here. You what?
I completely forgot my flip camera and I was going to bring it.
No, you were not
There's
going
a lot of... Put the camera up, Dad. Nobody's figured out your trick yet. Yeah, lots of enemies I'll be making quick on this trip. Alright, Adam's not happy at all. Alright. Move it, move it.
Did you get that on film?
I did. Alright, there goes the crew. Is the sun setting? You can't see it in the lake. Here we are. There it is. It's kind of hazy. You can't really see, but it's going down over the top of the mountain over there. We just arrived in Athens. This is the view from the rooftop of our Hotel Presidente Athenae. I like how you made that Spanish. Just to prove that we're not in Spain, there's the Greek flag. We got a pool up here. Sally's going to dive in a second. Sally, aren't you ready? It looks warm. I'm sure it's heated. You broke their cactus. Oh my gosh. That's the state flower. Alright. Many adventures soon to come, but this is all the start. You were here at the very beginning.
Foundations of a very, very early, probably 5th or 6th century AD, uniquely shaped church that looks like a seashell, like not the regular aisles.
It's pretty rare to have any semblance of a painting preserved. I don't see that.
Yeah, that one
it's
is
over here.
You see the halos. West end.
Yeah.
You're looking at the west end of the inside east wall there.
Yeah.
And then the big longest courtyard in the middle with a pool, station, gardens.
Can you go around on the other side?
Yeah, you can go. Yeah, inside, but it's closed now.
Oh look, it's still got your Confederate flag up there. The Alabama fans.
Nice fancy one was there. Unless you walk past these buildings, the best view of the north side of the Acropolis is here. Of course, you can't see the Parthenon.
Is it the Erechtheion?
That's the Erechtheion, yeah. And you can see those broken columns that are part of the fortification there.
Right.
Which were from the destruction by the Persians in 480 BC when the city was destroyed totally. Then they rebuilt the city, they put up fortifications, and those are actually column ramps from the predecessor of the Parthenon that was being built. The Persians come and they just totally level it. So the Athenians, after they beat the Persians, they took those columns and they built them into their walls to remind them always of the destruction of the city by the Persians. So they have been there since 479, 470 BC for sure. So 2,500 years built into that wall.
Tangible reminder.
The tangible reminder, yeah. And then, of course, the building behind is the trident of the rock where the water sprang out. Then Athena strikes her spear and the olive comes out. You can see an olive tree right next to the...
In fact, remember you getting scolded for taking
a
leaf off of the olive tree. Wow, that sounds interesting.
So those are both there, the marks. And then on that porch, when you go up there, you're going to go up there?
Yeah, we were talking about the purple eye was what we saw. That was the big, almost looked like a building that we'll enter from tomorrow.
From that side. But if you go in that porch, you couldn't actually step inside, but you know, there's coffers for the ceiling and the roof, and there's a missing coffer which was never put there to begin with, because it's where the lightning came from Zeus. And where lightning comes, you go on roof over. So that's where the lightning came from Zeus to split up the fighting between the two. between his brother Poseidon and Athena.
We'll be able to see it just kind of looking up
Yeah,
through it.
and it reminds you a little bit of that the porch of the White House,
Yeah.
the lowest ground,
Yeah.
and then there will be porticos on each side where people will walk around and in the shade, and then there will be trees, I guess, landscaping, and I think the roofs, the scrolls were that entrance over there on the east side.
Pretty expansive.
It's a huge building. I mean, Hadrian did so much in Athens. He
Oh,
loved
my
Athens
word,
more
yeah.
than, the Romans called him a Gracilis. One is more to the east. I'm sorry, to the west, that way. But this is a good view of.
I can't remember which of these
Actually,
winds were represented.
There's
This is a Roman bathroom.
water, of course, washing down from there, washing it away.
Here you go, Pete. There's the seats.
But I'm sure it smelled. I'm sure it wasn't a pleasant area.
And they have it right next to the market. That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I guess it served a purpose, though. I mean, if you're in the market and shop. Yeah, see, before the Parthenon that you're going to see, there were two other Parthenons. The Grandpa Parthenon, the Ur-Parthenon, the ultimate Parthenon. And then, after the Battle of Marathon, in 490, it's a great victory for the Athenians. In 486, we think, they started building a newer Parthenon. It's called the pre-Parthenon. And that had gone only as far as maybe putting the second column drums on top of each other.
Yeah.
There was scaffolding. The platform was already built. The walls were just beginning of the building to go up. And then, several years later, the Persians came in 480. Now remember, the Athenians, this was a massive invasion in 480. The Persians were going to come and get them this time. Forget about Marathon. So the Greeks, the Athenians, went to Delphi. They consulted the oracle. And they said, what do we do? And basically the Pythia, the priestess, says, get the heck away from there. You're going to be wiped out. You're going to be destroyed. Just get on the ships and go away. Find another country. It's the end.
Wow.
They didn't know what to do. They were so upset. They went back for a second, pleading with the oracle for a better oracle. So the answer came back that the salvation of Athens would only be the wooden walls. The wooden walls would save the city. Now, some people decided that just going to Lowe's and getting 2x4s and building wooden walls around the Acropolis is going to save the city, which was of course pretty stupid. The vast majority, however, persuaded by Themistocles, the Athenian very brilliant statesman, said, no, wooden walls means ships. The ships are going to save the city. So they got on the ships, moved all the population out of the city to the islands nearby, and then eventually they beat the Persians at the Battle of Salamis, naval battle, wooden walls. What happens on the Acropolis, though, is another story. Of course, when they left, they took the most sacred objects they could take away, probably the gold and the statue of Athena, which was housed in the predecessor of this building. This was the original, the most venerated, the most sacred object the Athenians owned. It was a very primitive-looking statue of Athena, supposedly came from heaven, the original Palladium, the palace, that was made of olive wood, and that was taken away from the Athenians to the islands with the people. So when the Persians came, of course, they destroyed, they besieged the Acropolis, and we are told by Herodotus, the father of history, and we know they destroyed it because when we dug in the 19th century, they found tons of destroyed stuff buried in the Acropolis that the ancients reverently buried. But we used to think that the Persians who had made their camp right on that hill there, where the cypress trees are, see the cypress trees there? Mm-hmm. The cypress trees? That's where the main assault came from, the west side, the most accessible side to the Acropolis. And we thought, archaeologists and historians thought that, in fact, that's where the Persians managed to break in and take the city. But in fact, excavations some years ago showed us a clue that proves now that, in fact, the Persians took the Acropolis from that side, the steep side. And it was Persian mountaineers, probably from Afghanistan or Pakistan, that were here with the Persian army, who climbed from the back of the Acropolis, which was hardly defended because nobody could climb up there. Yeah. Everybody, the focus, all the rockets was on this side, where the Persians were attacking from the west, shooting arrows and trying to burn the wooden walls from the Areopagus there. And at some point, these Persian mountaineer climbers, they climbed the Acropolis from that side and caught the Athenians by surprise, who were concentrating their efforts on the most accessible part of the Acropolis. And of course, then they took the Acropolis and they just leveled it. They destroyed everything and burned the tree of Athena. The sacred tree of Athena was supposedly burned or cut down. But when the Athenians came back with the image after the victory at Salamis, the next day they said the tree started shooting out new sprouts, new olive sprouts, which olive trees do. So,
and so they put those columns there in the wall really as a remembrance.
Yes.